History tells the story of the world and of our lives. Sometimes that history goes bump in the night. Broadcasting from the center of oddity and the supernatural in Central Florida, it's the History Goes Bump podcast.
Hello, you spooktacular people. Welcome to History Goes Bump Redux. I am your host, Diane.
And this is Kelly.
Kelly, on this episode, we're winding back to one of our first episodes, the Fearing Tavern, which is located in Massachusetts. Are you ready to go back?
I'm ready. The Fearing Tavern Museum is located in Wareham, Massachusetts, and has original parts that have stood for 335 years. Its history is rooted in the incorporation of the town, which was considered the gateway to Cape Cod, and has had literally thousands of people pass through its doors. The name comes from the family who kept it and managed it for over 200 years. The tavern is considered by paranormal investigators to be one of the most haunted locations on the South Coast. Join us as we explore the history and hauntings of the Fearing Tavern.
The South Coast is a coastal region that stretches from the eastern border of Rhode Island to the Cape Cod Canal. That's a new term, but what isn't new is how attractive the area was to European settlers. The Plymouth colony was the first permanent European settlement in New England and was founded in 1620. The land was ripe for planting, and being near the water would help with mills, shipbuilding, and fishing. Part of Plymouth colony was the Agawam Plantation, which gets its name from the indigenous group that had lived here and spoke the Algonquin language. 8,000 acres was bought from the tribe by the Plymouth colony. The plantation was founded in 1636 and was part of the Connecticut colony and defected a few years later to the Massachusetts Bay colony. Parts of the plantation were combined with the town of Rochester to form Wareham, which would be incorporated in 1739 and named for a town in England with the same name, only they say it there, Wareham. Fun fact, Wareham is home to the Tremont Nail Factory, which is the oldest nail manufacturer in the United States. I thought that was kind of cool.
It is cool, and I love those old square nails that you can still see here and there.
Exactly.
Before Wareham was an official town, a man named Isaac Bump, who ran the local grist mill, moved to the area and built the original structure that would become the future Fearing Tavern. The year was 1693. The home had 4 rooms, and meetings about incorporating the city of Wareham were held here. In 1747, Israel Fearing purchased the house and made plans to expand the property. His son Benjamin took ownership and built the white clapboard Georgian colonial-style house that still stands today. The property remained in the hands of the Fearing family for 200 years. It was in 1765 that the home opened up as a tavern. In the 1820s, Benjamin's son added a new bedroom and kitchen to the house.
The house has 2 unique features. The dual white chimneys have 2 black bands painted around them, and this is a feature that has been here for many years. It was thought that this was a signal, but historians disagree as to who the signal is going out to. Some think it is more recent and meant that the house was part of the Underground Railroad. And this is for people who were on their way to Canada. So when they were coming through Massachusetts, they would know this was a safe house to stay. The other theory is that this goes back to the Revolutionary War and signaled that the house was loyal to the crown and that this was a safe house for redcoats. How very different in that usage.
Indeed.
Whatever the signal meant, there is another unique feature in the house that could facilitate either of those. There's a hidden room wedged between 2 bedrooms on the second floor. When it comes to looking at the actual family for a solution to which one of these might be true, it still leaves things a mystery. The Fearing family was rumored to have had loyal ties to England during the 1700s, but conflicting local information states that members of the family were patriots during the American Revolution. Local history reveals that the tavern was often visited by British soldiers, and the paranormal activity in the building includes sightings of British troops. Rumors have persisted that the Fearings hid British soldiers in the house. Legend has it that over 200 British soldiers stopped at the tavern for spirits and a bite to eat before heading out to burn down a local cotton factory. So
All right.
that was awfully helpful. So I don't know. It does make it look like they were on the side of the British to me. As for the Underground Railroad, we don't have anything substantial, but who knows? Maybe the house was used for both of those purposes.
Could be. The Fearing Tavern served many purposes over the years. It was a stage stop on the route to Boston. It was a one-room schoolhouse in 1825, an old Methodist meeting house in 1835, the Union Chapel in 1880, a courthouse, and a post office for the town of Wareham. The tavern was restored in 1958 and boasts 16 rooms. The building is now owned by the Wareham Historical Society and is uninhabited. It is run as a museum during the summer months and is open to the public for touring. The museum contains period artifacts and antiques, some of which have been donated by the Fearing family. Guided tours are offered of the museum. A creepy doll room, antique rocking chair, family Bible, and secret tunnel under the street add mystery to the centuries-old tavern. And then there are the hauntings. The Wareham Historical Society has held annual haunted history nights, which include tours of the tavern as well as other buildings in the area.
Author Michael Markowitz's book titled EVP, Electronic Voice Phenomenon, Massachusetts Ghostly Voices, details over 50 EVPs collected during one such investigation at the tavern. Examples of EVPs include a German accented voice saying, "Zeatic."
Okay.
What's funny is they're like, "Zeatic." You think they would say like, I don't know, something in German instead, but. And a little girl saying, "Want to play dress up?" Okay, what kind of dress up are we playing? Another recording captures the clanging of a metal grate and the soft words, "Christ did penance." Tim Weisberg writes in his Ghosts of the South Coast book about the strangest capture Michael got. Mike has his own unique system of conducting EVP research, and it includes using 10 condenser microphones like you would find in our radio studio, strategically located throughout the location, tied into one central mixing board, and then recorded digitally on a laptop. With his ultra-sensitive and high-end equipment, it's not uncommon for Mike to leave a location with dozens of solid EVPs, while other investigators using handheld recorders might be lucky to come across one or two, prime examples in their entire career. It was with this equipment that Mike captured a statement that, to this day, sends a shiver down my spine. In the basement of the tavern, our team was searching for evidence of this supposed underground tunnel. Matt Moniz, my Spooky South Coast co-host, and a paranormal investigator for more than 20 years, began using a broomstick to thump on the concrete portion of the floor to check for hollow spots. When we found one, we immediately began clearing off the dirt from the floor with our feet, making one large collective swooshing sound. Within that sound, perhaps using the kinetic energy of our emotion to draw power, an evil-sounding voice came through to make a startling pronouncement. "Hey, Ashford, I killed Grandpa Ash. I just knew you'd feel the pain." And a voice states in reply, "Then consider it a gift."
Oh, my word.
Now, I have to say, I listened to this, and I'm not going to play it for you guys because it's one of those EVPs that would not come across well on a podcast. All I really hear is their scratching feet. And I kind of feel like this is pareidolia, where the scratching feet are making it sound like a voice, because, look, if you're going to get me a really good EVP, it should sound like a voice, not like a gravelly, deep kind of thing. There's no sign that there was an Ashford who'd lived here or that a Grandpa Ash had been killed. Was Ashford named for Grandpa Ash? It's weird that they both would have the same kind of name, I guess. Did Ash kill zombies is another question I have. You know, I love my Ash. So I don't know if this was legit, but it was interesting.
Did he have a chainsaw for a hand?
Yes. And now a little break for a word about one of our sponsors.
The tavern has had numerous paranormal groups conduct investigations which have yielded EVPs, apparitions, and unexplained happenings. Matt Moniz was recording video in a tavern room, now used for displaying antique toys. In one, a bright light, the investigators called it Tinkerbell, moves from a wall to a doll. In another, a large orb moves across the screen. Well-known paranormal author Jeff Belanger has included the Fearing Tavern in several of his books. A 30-minute YouTube video by Jeff Belanger featuring a tour of the building highlights many of the rooms and areas where paranormal activity has been observed. Light orbs and EVPs were recorded and are visible on the video. There is also said to be a misty gray figure here. During an investigation, this figure appeared and stopped in a doorway and rested its arms on the frame as though it was standing there watching them. Before they could get a picture, it disappeared. This misty figure has made a few other appearances and seems to like doorways the best, but has also shown up on the stairs.
But it's more than just those who are seeking ghosts that have had experiences at Fearing Tavern. Carlston Wood was touring the tavern with his then 12-year-old daughter and her friend more than a dozen years ago. As they ducked into a secret passageway, the girls noticed a woman in Victorian dress sitting in a rocking chair, knitting in the room they were leaving. Assuming she was some kind of museum piece herself, like the pilgrims at Plymouth Plantation, they asked about her at the end of the tour. I don't know if she was frozen and not moving. They thought she was a mannequin or something. The guide was puzzled. Other than those on the tour, she was the only person in the house. So she's like, I don't know who the lady in the chair was.
A newspaper reporter toured the tavern one evening and was startled by several shadowy figures that seemed to be following her. She wasn't sure there was anything to the shadow figures until a gray mist began to form before her eyes. And then it started to approach her. Women in period dress have been seen by multiple visitors. Disembodied noises of horses and carriages are heard outside of the tavern.
There are other haunting legends connected to Wareham that Tim Weisberg shared in his book. In East Wareham, there is the long and winding Glen Charlie Road that connects the town to the southern tip of Plymouth. Once an area heavily populated by Indians, it is surrounded by ponds that feed off the Agawam River as well as a large cranberry bog, a recreational campground, and a few wooded spots that have yet to be developed. It makes for a spooky drive late at night through its twists and turns that force you to drive at a slower pace and leave you susceptible to a spirit sighting. That's exactly the case around the S-curve of road that rides alongside the Cranberry Bog, where the ghosts of 3 cranberry workers are often spotted crossing Glen Charlie Road to the waters across the way. According to legend, there were immigrants who were killed in some sort of harvesting accident on the bog in the early part of the 20th century, and their spirits seem to be a residual haunt that often frighten motorists. Wampanoag spirits are also said to haunt the Glen Charlie area, as is the mysterious woman in white. She is often reported strolling through the yards of homes near Glen Charlie Pond, with her long flowing gown glowing with a luminescence that appears as bright as the moonlight itself. Glen Charlie was also in the vicinity of the Agawam Nail Works begun by Samuel Tisdale in 1836. It was one of many such factories in Wareham that utilized the bog iron found in abundance in the manufacturing of iron tools and goods. Agawam ceased operation in 1869 upon Tisdale's death. On December 3, 1885, the Boston Daily Globe printed a story about the Glen Charlie area, mostly about how it was a favorite spot of American statesman Daniel Webster in his day. However, there was this interesting passage about the observances of those who lived near the old nail works, even after its closure. Whenever a tempestuous storm is raging in this locality, a most singular specter exhibits itself about the old place. In the mill, life and activity seem to reign. The old furnaces, as in years past, are seen again in full blast, while from the stacks, fire is shooting heavenward. In the works, everything appears full of life. Bosses and firemen that have long ago passed away can again be seen busy at their respective duties. The huge old rolls groan and snap under their heavy weight, while the old familiar side water wheel is again observed at these times running like a racehorse. Isn't that weird? So it's like when there's a storm, it seems like everything turns on in the old nail works.
Yeah, definitely.
The article goes on to state that everyone who occupied the home near the site of the works reported the exact same occurrence. While the nail works itself is now long gone, its spectral occupants continue to roam Glen Charlie. Across town in what was formerly known as South Wareham was the Wewianic Iron Company, originally built in 1835. It later burned to the ground after a deadly explosion that killed many of the iron workers. Almost immediately after came reports of their tortured souls wandering the grounds of the works. Each time the company rebuilt, There were 3 more fires after the first explosion. The works would burn again in devastating fashion. Locals began to speak of some sort of curse over the land where the works was built, that it might have been a sacred Indian site at one time.
I'm wondering about everything coming alive with the storm. I mean, look at what we experienced at Villisca. You get major
More
lightning.
energy.
And yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so maybe it just fires it up.
that could be. Then there's this glowing woman. Along the shores of Onset Bay, there are reports of a female apparition often seen walking along the beach. She looks towards the water, perhaps awaiting a returning love out at sea. She is often reported with a glowing blue hue about her. What makes this particular report interesting is that the same type of apparition has also been seen across the Cape Cod Canal in the town of Sandwich. Is it possible that this same female spirit crosses the canal, ethereally oblivious to its rapidly moving currents? And I always thought that, spirits aren't allowed to cross water, so who knows? The old Methodist meeting house was built in the 1800s and sits between the Fearing Tavern and the old schoolhouse. The Wareham Historical Society uses it as their headquarters, and they also rent out the space for weddings and other events. Wicked Weird investigated there in 2022, and they got spikes on their EMF in direct response to questions they asked, and they believe they were communicating with a child spirit. They caught a child-sized entity on their SLS camera that appeared to be standing in the corner. Was it in trouble?
Aw.
Did you ever have to stand in the corner when you were a kid?
No.
I never did either, because when my mom spanked me, it worked, but my sister would just laugh when she got spanked.
Oh my gosh.
So my mom would put her in the corner, and she hated it. She would just cry and cry and cry. And when my parents were moving out of the house later, when we moved to Colorado from California, they said you could see the streaks down the wall where she planted her little face. And EVP identified itself by the name Alden. I'll go ahead and play that here for you. When asked if someone would like to come forward with a message, an EVP exclaims, "You," and then a little bit of a space, "have to hear me." We grabbed that one too, but it is so hard to hear. Even cranked, it wouldn't have come across on the podcast. But I did hear, "You have to hear me."
Nothing tragic seems to have happened at the Fearing Tavern. The property has not passed through many hands. So why is there some kind of paranormal activity taking place at this location? Is it just that family members who have passed away are unwilling to leave in the afterlife? Did British soldiers die near the tavern during the Revolutionary War, and now they come here in the afterlife looking for the comfort they found in life? Is the Fearing Tavern haunted?
That is for you to decide. Very cool looking building to check out. If you've been there, let us know. Want to thank you for joining us for this Redux. I've been your host, Diane.
And this has been Kelly.
You take care now.
Bye-bye. Guided. Jesus. Diane's stomach is going nuts.
I am very hungry for breakfast. God, I'm sorry. It's a good thing that it's a good thing these microphones only pick up our mouths, which are right in front of them, or you'd be hearing a lot of growling.
Was that your stomach or the basement? I don't know. The museum.
Are you getting a nose picture?
Oh, Lord. Abort. We'll finish recording later.